7 days ago, Adam Sessler left the television studio to investigate the world of horror games. Adam Sessler left for the woods and was not seen again. After an extensive search by the GameSpot TV crew 1 week later, a box of digital tapes were found in a small secluded grove in Golden Gate Park, along with Adam's favorite shirt. The GameSpot TV crew pieced together the events leading up to Sessler's disappearance, and this is what they found. Welcome to the Adam Sessler Project.
Hello and welcome to GameSpot TV's special horror edition. As you can see, we've come to the woods to better appreciate all those things scary in gaming. And with the monster underneath my bed and the vampire trying to come through my window, there really is nothing more basically scary than those things that go bump in the night.
Having deposited our mournful burden upon trestles within this region of horror, we partially turned aside the yet unscrewed lid of the coffin and looked upon the face of the tenant. A striking similitude between the brother and sister now first arrested my attention, and Usher, divining perhaps my thoughts, murmured out some few words from which I learned that the deceased and himself had been twins.
Mom?
The devil, who saw him a fit instrument to perform mischief as a wicked fiend, pleased with the desire of wrong and destruction, gave unto him a girdle which, being put around him, he was straight transformed into the likeness of a greedy, devouring wolf.
Hey, Mom! In Werewolf, you play a boy who becomes a werewolf, or he is a werewolf and doesn't realize he's one. The idea in the White Wolf game of the werewolf is that it comes from an internal rage. It's kind of like an Incredible Hulk sort of thing. When you work yourself up into such a rage, certain people will assume the form of a werewolf. In the pen and paper game and in the computer game, the werewolf can assume different forms, and that's going to be a big part of the gameplay, is shape-shifting at the appropriate times. There are certain times where you're going to need to morph into this gigantic beast-type thing, and there's other times when you're going to need to assume your human form.
Then, summoning the wild courage of despair, a throng of the revelers at once threw themselves into the black apartment and, seizing the mummer, whose tall figure stood erect and motionless within the shadow of the ebony clock, gasped in unutterable horror at finding the grave cerements and corpse-like mask which they handled with so violent a rudeness, untenanted by any tangible form. The thing in the coffin writhed, and a hideous blood-curdling screech came from the open red lips. The body shook and quivered and twisted in wild contortions. Sharp white teeth chomped together till the lips were cut, and the mouth was smeared with a crimson foam.
Vampire the Masquerade originally was a pen and paper game made by White Wolf, a company back east, that specializes in these role-playing games, live-action role-playing games that people will actually sit around a table and play together. It begins in the Middle Ages, and you are playing a vampire hater and killer, a very religious man in Prague. And in the course of hunting down some vampires as the game opens, you are bitten and you become a vampire. You become the very thing you hate. The horror is coming from within in this game. It's asking you, can you be a monster? Can you do bad things and yet still be a good person? It's a tough question.
By the dim and yellow light of the moon, as it forced its way through the window shutters, I beheld the wretch, the miserable monster whom I had created. He held up the curtain of the bed, and his eyes, if eyes they may be called, were fixed on me.
So if you want to find out more about scary game creatures or all things scary in gaming itself, then come by our website at zdtv.com/GameSpot TV. I wonder if this was such a good idea.
Coming up on GameSpot TV's Special Horror Edition. Demons, dinosaurs, the undead, they're all part of the survival horror genre. Can you get out alive?
Welcome back. One of the most popular forms of console gaming is survival horror, where you, well, survive against an onslaught of various nasties in dark, brooding, nighttime environments. What was that?
The dead have come back to life and are feasting on human flesh. Survival horror is all about staying alive, whether that means disemboweling demons, battling zombies, or dodging dinosaurs.
This isn't a joke, you idiot. We were just attacked by a big-ass lizard.
Survival horror reaches deep down into the dark recesses of the soul and touches your primal fears. Resident Evil series birthed the survival horror genre. It offered a story-driven action experience full of fear and suspense, and spawned a plethora of imitations. Survival horror encompasses dark third-person action-adventure titles, games with a morbid storyline where the player must find clues, solve puzzles, and fight something dark and evil.
Man, what a mess! What could have done this?
Resident Evil dishes out some truly frightening, skin-crawling moments. As does Dino Crisis, where shuffling zombies are replaced with lightning-fast velociraptors. Dino Crisis puts you on the edge of your seat, with a chilling soundtrack, noir lighting, and foreboding sound effects. Expect the unexpected. Other survival horror games have taken the Capcom formula in another direction. The horror in Parasite Eve comes from within. Biology has run amok, and the evil parasite mitochondria are taking over humankind. Silent Hill is perhaps the scariest horror game to date.
Take this, and hope you don't have to use it.
Silent Hill frightens you on an instinctive level. The crackling of the radio, the music, the lighting, and sound effects combine to create a dark, claustrophobic atmosphere which puts you on edge.
What is this? What's going on here?
The film, survival horror, makes you afraid of what's around the corner.
If you'd like to see the survival horror piece or anything else from today's show, then please come to our website at zdtv.com/GameSpot TV.
Many moons have passed since I left the town of Tristram behind me. Since then, I've tried to forget the terrors I beheld beneath the cold earth, and the twisted nightmares that have haunted my every waking moment. There's something dark within me now.
Coming up on GameSpot TV's Special Horror Edition. The truth is out there. We explore the world of the extraterrestrials in gaming. And bad guys have more fun. we pick our favorite villains of all time.
Welcome back. Well, aliens have been with us since the beginning of gaming, and the relationship has been less than amicable, with us trying to obliterate them before they have the chance to harvest our bodies. So let's take a look at those who live among us.
Let's face it, the Space Invaders didn't have a good plan. Moving from right to left in formation wasn't a terribly sophisticated strategy, but it did get the ball rolling for a series of attempts to rid Earth of us and pave the way for extraterrestrial happiness. Yep, the boys over at SETI really have found their jobs to be easier since way back in '78 when the aliens started coming to us. Defense systems were established like XCOM, a multinational group of heroic types who recognized the need to defend the Earth from organized space strangers. With the remarkable scientific resources, XCOM was able to research enough about the invaders to provide proper assistance to the troops, who rid them from farmlands everywhere. And Earth raised a glass to our heroes and breathed a sigh of relief for a short time. Yup, things only got more complicated when the invasion from beyond started. Now, like their predecessors, these guys were invading, but this time they were from beyond. You see? So, the necessary steps were taken. Get into a ship and shoot down the unfriendly space buddies while rescuing the always useful scientists. Notice also the change from the traditional invader thumping sound to the more effective buzzing that can annoy humans into servitude. Now, while the alien threat has traditionally been focused on our big blue marble, actually, all otherworldly misanthropes dislike humans equally, no matter where they are. So going into space has proved problematical. Going aboard the Von Braun sounds like good fun. You get to check out the furthest reaches of space on a ship that's going faster than light. That's really, really fast, you know.
It's a great day for mankind.
But wouldn't you know, people seem to be dead everywhere, and mutants with bad attitudes appear to be plentiful. There are ways to avoid this misfortune.
Get away!
A. Don't go in for space travel involving callous mega corporations. B. Don't go in for space travel with mega corporations that have a history of designing homicidal computer programs.
Security forces have been alerted to your presence.
And C. Don't go in for space travel. Unfortunately, this information didn't reach the Marines, who traveled way too far into space and found some mucus-covered nasties with a real grudge against humanity. Apparently, we taste pretty good and offer fertile tissue for breeding. This is doubly unfortunate when you consider that they have a knack for climbing walls and can move with the speed of a rocket. So if you happen to have forgotten not to go into deep space, then at least remember to bring guns. Lots of them. Though, most importantly, keep in mind that if it isn't broke, don't try to go and fix it.
Roger that. Let's run like hell.
When your friend calls you to say, hey, do you want to check out my new device to travel through space and time? Tell them no, especially if they work for top-secret government organizations. This has happened before, and it's usually left up to one scientist guy to save the entire planet from an unpleasant invasion. Who knows how many more of these talented individuals are left? But in the end, the tried and true is typically found to be the best. The Space Invaders have returned with nicer ships, but still retain that same good old-fashioned distaste for carbon-based biped. You'd think that after trying all this time, when they finally do take over, they'll feel right at home.
Well, games have always been populated with nasty individuals, and in honor of these nefarious types, we put together a look at some of our favorite game villains.
Avast there, you lubbers! Set sail for my stronghold on Monkey Island.
The battle of good versus evil has been a constant in electronic gaming. Conflict creates drama. And what better way to have conflict than to have two characters with diametrically opposing views? In the beginning, end-level bosses like Bowser from the Mario series and M. Bison from the Street Fighter series were the norm. You saw them at the beginning of a game, but more often than not, you wouldn't see them until the very end with the final confrontation.
My favorite game villain is probably Donkey Kong, and I mean, he's since reformed and gone over to the hero side, but back in the original Donkey Kong, it was just he was the best.
Since then, villains have become more complex.
I'm cut. Why not bleed?
One of my favorite villains is probably Kane from Command & Conquer. He wasn't particularly scary, but he was very charismatic. he was evil, but yet you fighting against him, you still believed in his cause.
It is my destiny to lead the way for all mankind.
Mankind has forgotten you, Cain.
My favorite game villain is the Guardian from the Ultima games. There's a lot of mystery around him, and he really runs a thin line between being kind of a cliched villain and actually being a really effective evil presence.
My favorite game villain is Shodan from the System Shock games. Shodan is just really evil.
You will learn more about pain than you ever wanted to know.
I know your plan, Ripburger. You're waiting for me to die so you can take over my company. That's horrible.
My favorite game villain by far is the Purple Tentacle in LucasArts' Day of the Tentacle. Because he was a little purple guy about this high, he was really just one little tentacle of a octopus, and he had delusions of ruling the world.
I feel like I could take on the world.
LucasArts can always be counted on for interesting villains and criminal masterminds. From the pirate LeChuck in the Monkey Island series to Adrian Ripburger in Full Throttle. LucasArts always has memorable villains.
Suffering sailors, 'tis good to be dead.
Villains may come in all shapes and sizes, but they have to be believable.
I think villains should be kind of human for them to be at their most effective. I think they need to talk a lot and, you know, explain themselves a little bit.
You are indeed a fool to want Britannia. Once I have finished with it.
There has to be something in the villain, I think, that you can relate to as well. Some trace of their former humanity, you know, something that they're scarier because it could be you.
So the bottom line is, being the good guy isn't bad. You get to save the world and be a hero. But let's face facts, villains have all the fun.
If you have a favorite game villain, let us know via email at GameSpot@ZDTV.com.
Coming up next on GameSpot TV Special Horror Edition, our Fright Fest continues with a look at the psychology of game horror. Don't watch it alone.
This guy's been eviscerated. Something tore his intestines straight out.
So we've seen that there is much fright and terror to be found in gaming, but as we all know, while games may look scary, only some truly are. Oh my. So let's take a chance and look at what makes games truly scary.
I think the first really scary game, was probably Doom on the PC for me. I mean, I've been playing games for years before that, but I mean, you know, the graphics really hadn't gotten to a point. There was no real element of surprise. But I mean, you get in the dark and you turn up your stereo really loud and you play Doom, you know, for the very first time.
The scariest game I've ever played is Konami's Silent Hill. It's just got so many different elements that contribute together to make it really, really frightening and really, really creepy. Things like the monster designs, about half the monsters in it I don't think have skin, and the other ones are disturbing for other reasons. The sound is really frightening, it's really creepy, and just the overall atmosphere is just really eerie.
Half-Life on the PC that had some scenes where you'd be playing it, you know, in the daytime or nighttime, doesn't matter, and I'd just jump out of my seat. You'd be walking down a hallway or like an air vent, and you had just finished killing like 3 or 4 Marines, and so, you know, the adrenaline flow is gone, and you're just relaxed, and you're walking, and, you know, like a little head crab or an alien would just drop out of you out of nowhere.
I really think it's the surprise factor. I mean, with a story, you can only do so much. You can sit there and try and tell a scary story, but if you don't have any really scary kind of like elements to back it up, it's really not going to be that frightening. And then you might get creepy, but I don't think you would get scared.
One of the primary ones would be the unexpected. You know, anytime there's a feeling that something could happen at any moment, that's going to be tense. That's not necessarily going to be creepy or scary. There are other elements you'd have to combine to make it that. But that's one of the very first things is unpredictability, the unknown, you know, or something that's beyond the normal experience. All of those will create tension, and tension is sort of the base for creating creepiness or scariness on top of it.
If a designer wants to make a game scary, all he has to do is strip away those powers somehow, or create some sort of villain or obstacle that it just makes those powers void, and all of a sudden just makes the person playing the game, who's been relying on these abilities for so long, all of a sudden they don't work anymore, and the person playing the game will all of a sudden be scared and won't really know what to do.
I think the most important element of making a frightening game after playing Silent Hill is the environment, just the overall creepiness. Because any game can really, you know, just kind of pop something out at you and scare you. I mean, Resident Evil does that a lot, and it's cool. But the overall environment, being scared all the time, is something that Silent Hill does very well.
When used properly, you know, sound and music can make a game really scary.
There are certain games like Thief, The Dark Project, that don't necessarily look that great, but they sound so good. That game actually has one mission later on where you're, you know, where you're working your way through a haunted cathedral, and there are all these ghosts with their clanking chains walking around making these really scary noises, and that mission just came across as just unbelievably tense.
Again, it's all in how it's used, in not being too ham-fisted, not being too over the top, because that's where tension comes from, is not giving people too much, giving them just enough that they're wondering what the rest is, and then holding back. And if you do that effectively, then yeah, I think you can definitely make an experience that most people will find unnerving at the very least and scary at best.
Designers can really mess with the players by having stuff happen off to the sides, forcing them to turn and look, kind of this weird claustrophobic feeling.
When you can start putting sounds beside and behind people, that's even more unnerving because they can't see it, and once again it's playing with the unexpected.
I think if you come to a certain point in a game when you just have to stop playing, or get up and turn the lights, or check the closet, or see what that noise upstairs was, then I think you're playing a scary game.
That's it for today's show. I hope you enjoyed it. I did. You can always join me for a chat, 8 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, if I actually get out of here. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'll never leave the studio again.
That's disgusting.